owner of the World Trade Center, was close friends with Netanyahu and other Israeli officials. This is one of the most underreported facts about 9/11 that's sure to raise eyebrows. Here's an article from 2001 from the Israeli news Haaretz. 6 weeks before the terrorist attacks in New York, Larry Silverstein leased the Twin Towers for 99 years. Two former prime ministers, Benjamin Netanyahu, who this week called Silverstein a quote friend, and Ehud Barak, whom Silverstein in the past offered a job as a representative in Israel, also called soon after the disaster. Shortly after the events of September 11th, Prime Minister Ariel Sharon called Larry Silverstein, a Jewish real estate magnate in New York, the owner of the World Trade Center's 110-story Twin Towers, and a close friend. Many Israeli officials are acquainted in one degree or another with the 70-year-old Silverstein. What's most interesting in this article is right here: close ties with Netanyahu. The decision to power of Benjamin Netanyahu opened a new chapter in the saga. The two have been on friendly terms since Netanyahu's stint as Israel's ambassador to the United Nations. For years, they kept in close touch. Every Sunday afternoon, New York time, Netanyahu would call Silverstein. It made no difference what the subject was or where Netanyahu was, he would always call, Silverstein told an Israeli acquaintance. Their ties continued after Netanyahu became prime minister. They met several times, and Netanyahu promised to give his project support. Larry Silverstein is a Jewish Zionist, and as a billionaire, having close ties with powerful officials shouldn't be seen as a surprise. However, when considering Israeli intelligence spying spying operations in the United States around 9/11, you begin to question things.
Now, Fox News has learned some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S., who may have known things they didn't tell us before September 11th. Fox News correspondent Carl Cameron has details in the Details in the first of a four-part series.
Since September 11th, more than 60 Israelis have been arrested or detained, either under the new Patriot anti-terrorism law or for immigration violations. A handful of active Israeli military were among those detained, according to investigators, who say some of the detainees also failed polygraph questions when asked about alleged surveillance activities against and in the United States. There is no indication that the Israelis were involved in the 9/11 attacks, but investigators suspect that the Israelis may have gathered intelligence about the attacks in advance and not shared it. A highly placed investigator said there are, quote, tie-ins. Quote, tie-ins. But when asked for details, he flatly refused to describe them, saying, quote, evidence linking these Israelis to 9/11 is classified. I cannot tell you about evidence that has been gathered. It's classified information.
Considering that Larry Silverstein also had a spontaneous dermatologist appointment the day of 9/11 is also odd.
Where were you on September 11th?
I was home. And the only reason I wasn't where I was every morning, subsequent to the 26th day of July, that particular morning, because I have light-colored hair and fair skin, and I'm an annuity to the dermatologist, my wife, God bless her, had made an appointment for me at the doctor. And I remember dressing to go to the doctor. I'm finally saying to my wife, I said, sweetheart, I've got so much to do downtown. I got to cancel this. I've got to go downtown. And she said, you're not going to cancel this appointment. You're going to the dermatologist. Having been married now to the same woman for 46 years, you get this sense of determination on occasion, their voices. And I said, okay, yes, dear, I'll go. I'll go. And then just minutes later, received a telephone call to turn on a television set and witnessed this horrendous circumstance.
The fact that both of his children were late to work that day continues to be odd. However, what's so bizarre is just 2 Just 2 days after 9/11, Larry Silverstein was already speaking about rebuilding the World Trade Center, while thousands of families mourned the lives of their loved ones, and Larry Silverstein lost employees of his own. He seemed to lack total empathy and was so focused on regaining his losses. 2 days later, the tone had changed. Silverstein's spokesperson told Reuters that Silverstein thinks a business district of the same area as the one that was destroyed should be rebuilt. From that moment on, Silverstein launched a campaign to restore his property, a campaign that is generating public opposition and mounting criticism. In the first days after the attack, he said he would build 2 identical towers of 110 stories and 3.6 million square meters. More recently, he has been talking about building 4 towers 50 stories each, covering the same area as the twins. If he builds smaller buildings, his revenue from leasing office space will be reduced accordingly. The Port The Port Authority can't understand why Silverstein is in such a hurry. He intends to start rebuilding 7 World Trade Center within about a year. At this time next year, girders will already be rising out of the ground, he said. Construction will be completed within 30 months. Construction of the new Twin Towers will be completed in another for 6 years. I understand that as a businessman, you need to recoup your losses, but not even spending a few weeks after the attacks, sending condolences to your tenants and mourning the loss of their loved ones lacks complete empathy.